And there are so far at least 2 senators who have agreed with Ron Johnson, including Florida's Rick Scott and Kentucky's Rand Paul, about the need to cut more from this bill. Joining us now is the chairman of the Senate Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs Committee, Senator Rand Paul. Senator, good to have you. Thank you so much for being here. Your reaction to what you just heard from Caroline Leavitt in terms of the savings that this bill brings about?
Well, I think to put it in perspective, most people estimate that over the next 10 years, the United States will add about $2 trillion a year, $20 trillion in debt. The savings, if you don't think the taxes or the tax cuts will cause a reduction in revenue, which I can accept that, and you say, well, the spending cuts are $1.5 trillion. That means instead of borrowing $20 trillion, we'd borrow $18.5 trillion. So the spending cuts are not nearly enough. The other way to look at this is ask year to year, will we spend more money next year than last year? The answer is going to be yes. Will the deficit be over $2 trillion next year? The answer is yes. This is why my big objection to the bill is they want to ask us to expand their credit line to $5 trillion. So if your teenager at 16, you gave them a credit card, they maxed it out on booze and gambling, and they were $2,000 in debt, and they said, well, Mom, Dad, I want more credit. Would you give them more credit? Congress is like drunken teenagers. They're terrible with money. The example of the explosion of debt is awful and not to be commended. We should be giving them very limited tranches of debt expansion and make them prove to us that they are good with money. But by no means should we give them $5 trillion and say, oh, just keep doing what you're doing. They have a terrible record, so they need more restraint and more oversight, not less.
I understand, but the debt limit date is coming. The X date is when the government runs out of money. As soon as the markets figure this out and start reacting to it, you're going to have a spiral of a decline in the valuations, and that's going to make things even worse. How far are you willing to take this? Are you saying you will not raise the debt ceiling under any circumstances?
Well, just 2 weeks ago, I offered to raise it for 3 months, and I introduced this as an amendment. So I would raise it about every 3 months. I would never default, and I'm not arguing for default, and I'm not arguing for anything that will roil the markets. I offered to raise it $500 billion. But the American people need to know that $500 billion is 3 months worth of borrowing. This is literally out of control. And then I'd come back in 3 months, and that'll be about the time that the government spending will end. We'll have the song and dance about a shutdown of government. There'll be another big omnibus, and I will say, once again, I'm not giving you $1 trillion. I'm not giving you $5 trillion. I'll give it 3 more months, but you have to behave. You have to restrain spending, and they're not doing it. And if they're asking to borrow $5 trillion, that is the example. $5 trillion in borrowing means they are not restraining spending. That's the ultimate summation of all these numbers, is what will the deficit be next year. If it's going to be over $2 trillion next year, none of this is meaningful.
Well, I mean, look, it's supposed to be, according to the expectations from the CBO, $22 trillion 10-year deficit. That's $2.2 trillion a year, and up to $59 trillion in overall debt by 2035. We're showing a chart that Ron Johnson sent us in terms of the amount of money that was spent during COVID. And that's part of the issue here. Because Joe Biden went overboard and sent too much money to Americans to help them after COVID. What's the amount of money that you would like to see cut to get us back to pre-pandemic spending? How much?
We have to have less spending next year than we had last year. If you have more spending, you're going to have a bigger deficit. But think about it this way. Who caused the deficit? Well, the first Trump administration passed out $2,500 checks to everybody. We shut the entire economy down. During the first Trump administration, $8 trillion in debt was added. During the Biden administration, $8 trillion in debt was added. This is a bipartisan problem. Both parties have done an abysmal, they have been abysmal at trying to control the debt. So the real question is, will the debt be bigger next year or smaller?
Okay.
Will the spending be bigger or smaller? Right now, spending is going up next year.
Senator, we both know that the majority of the spending is from the entitlement programs, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, 76% of the spending in the budget coming from there. Are you saying you want to cut into those programs?
What I've proposed every year for the last 10 years is a penny plan budget, and it cuts a little bit of everything. But by cutting a little bit of everything, you don't have to cut as much of specific things. Okay. So initially, 5, 6, 7 years ago, we could cut 1% of everything, all entitlements, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. In real numbers, you would spend 1% less than you spent this year, and you could balance in 5 years. But when the pandemic spending came, when they shut down the economy and gave everybody free checks, now at these levels, it takes about a 6% cut each year for 5 years. Across the board works, but if you take Social Security, Medicare, and most of Medicaid off the table, you really don't change things materially. So if the deficit's going to be $2.2 trillion every year for the next 10 years, and you cut $150 billion a year, which is what the big, beautiful bill is going to do, you still have over $2 trillion a year. You're still adding $20 trillion over 10 years. It's unsustainable.
Understood.
And someone has to say enough's enough.
Senator, there are people who are questioning why you would not support a bill that puts more money into border security, particularly at this moment in time when we see what's going on in Los Angeles this morning. We have some pictures of the violence in L.A. The president had to send the National Guard to Los Angeles. Are you suggesting that the money being spent on the border is too excessive?
What I'm suggesting is that we can add some money to the border, but what they're asking for is excessive. And I'll give you an example. For the fence, they want $46.5 billion. Well, I did the math on this. The current rate, according to the Border Patrol, is $6.5 million per mile. That would be $6.5 billion for 1,000 miles. Nobody's really estimating there's more than 1,000 miles that could be fenced at this point. So that's $6.5 billion versus $46.5. Where's all the money going? I've asked the Trump administration, where's all the money going? As far as hiring new people, I would hire some new people. I would give some bonuses. I'd probably do half as much as what they're asking for because the border is largely controlled right now. And what we don't want is when we wind up looking back at this, have an army of Border Patrol agents that we have on the hook for payments and pensions and everything else. We need to do it judiciously and not in a reckless manner.
Senator, final question here. If the tax cuts are not extended, you will have overseen the largest tax increase that we've seen on the American people. Are you comfortable with that?
I supported the tax cuts in 2017 and still support them. I support making them permanent. I actually accept the argument that if you reduce rates, you can get more revenue. So I support the tax cut wholeheartedly. I've told the president I will support them, but I'm not supporting the debt ceiling. So along with Ron Johnson, we need to separate the bill into pieces. And the debt ceiling can be on something where the big government people can vote for it, but conservatives should not vote to raise the debt ceiling $5 trillion because it's not fiscally conservative. But yes, I will support the tax cuts, have in the past, and continue to do so.
And do you think you'll get Democrats to support that as well, raising the debt ceiling?
They always have. There's no example of Democrats ever voting against the debt ceiling. They love debt. They're for debt. That's modern monetary theory is add more debt, and they always vote for raise the debt ceiling. They voted to increase it in Trump's first term, and they'll vote for it again.
Senator, it's good to see you this morning. Thanks very much, sir. We'll be watching your work.
Thank you.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.